$1.5 million, that will be able to...
1.5?
$1.5 billion.
Billion, oh, I thought you said, yes.
Yeah.
$1.5 billion.
Yeah, which is equivalent to about 238 billion Kenya shillings. It's going to be adequate, plus whatever else we have to be able to retire the maturing bond on 30th June. So there we don't have a problem. Now, because of that, now international investors have now confidence to come in the market. So they have started now coming again back to the market, investing in the local market, which now is strengthening with dollars inflows coming in. Now it is strengthening the Kenya shillings.
So we are likely to see the Kenyan this trend continuing.
Yes. Okay. No one knows how long it will go, but now it is positive. Now we are on the positive trend, yes, whereby we expect more and more will keep on coming in.
There are people who had basically hoarded the dollar.
Yes.
In Kenya, I mean, they have dollar accounts. They had hoarded it because they were seeing this is a way the increase. I mean, I know friends who are paid in dollars, yes, and banks have been approaching them, telling them, sell us these dollars, and they've refused because if they had like $20,000 back then, with the shooting of the US dollar from where it was to getting almost 150 shillings, they made a lot of money. So now we might see people now selling the dollar, fearing that they are going to lose.
Precisely. The worst depreciation was about 160.
Yes.
Last year, first quarter after that, first March, it was 125 Kenya shillings to the dollar.
Yes.
But in January 15th,
yes,
it's close to 160. But now with this new confidence in the market, Kenya shilling has gained up to, like yesterday, it was about 153, and it is gaining. So those who are holding dollars, they stand a risk that if it continues strengthening, then yes, then now the opportunity they had to sell at higher rate, it will not happen. But what we look at is stability. If it strengthens too much, it will also be against the economy. so what we look at is stability.
Yes.
If it can settle around a certain margin, yes, then it becomes easier for people to plan and the people to anticipate, this is what I'm able to spend. If you are exporting, this is what I'm able to, yes, to get. So,
but at least it's a good thing for the country.
It's a good thing to stabilize. At least we have stopped the downward spill, yes, spiraling. Now it is no longer depreciating anymore. So it's very good for the economy, at least to stop that depreciation. What
your thoughts on this?
First of all, it's a good thing for the country. Well, thanks for having me once again, but I always forget that. It's a good thing for the country, obviously, for the international market, and even locally in terms of showing the creditworthiness of the state. It means you are able to pay our debts. So when you see government being able to mobilize the resources that they need for a lump sum payout for the Eurobond, it's not really strange because KRA itself, which is the revenue agency that collects public taxes, every year is able to collect at least 2 trillion shillings. So we are sure that at some point the government can actually offset a 300 billion shilling debt. Yes. But only that government does not collect money in lump sum, it collects in a day. On a daily basis, we collect about 6 billion shillings. So on average, the KRA collects 180 billion a month. So, and then the money does not stay in the pocket. It goes into running the daily operations of the state. Yes. So it's very hard to find a lump sum of 300 billion. That's where the worry was about the Eurobond. Not that it's very unique. Yes. Government can pay 300 billion, but probably not in a lump sum. So the president was obviously was obviously at an overdrive. Yes. To try and make sure that he's able, and particularly when you have a shilling that has been struggling, as we all know, it becomes very hard to be able to mobilize such kind of money with uncertainty, because you don't know what the value of the dollar would be as of June 30th. So there's always a margin of, remember, if you owe me $1 today, if you owed me $1 a year ago, then in shillings terms you owed me only 125 shillings, as Bernard has said. But then if I was to come back and still ask for my dollar, today you owe me 160. So there's a massive implication in terms of the rate, the exchange rate. So the government would obviously be worried because most of these transactions have actually been done in dollars.
Yes.
So if that $1 billion is to be paid, or $2 billion is to be paid in June, and the dollar is to be at 200, we'll be talking of 400 billion shillings that the government is supposed to pay. So obviously the government has gone at an overdrive with the Eurobond, and also they've had some international commitments. You saw the president was in Japan the other day, and there's some financial commitments that were given by the Japanese government. Remember, the consolidated fund does not have a face, that this is Japanese money and this is European money.
As long as it's a dollars coming,
and there's some dollar commitment that you're supposed to give by the 30th of June, it's a good thing when you have that dollar in the account. So I think it's a good thing the president has done his best, even though it's not supposed to be a very huge thing, only that he's trying to milk it politically, but it's supposed to be a day-to-day commitment.
Don't you think it's a big thing? Because I believe the reason why the Kenyan economy has been suffering the way it's suffering is because, number one, we import, we are a net importer, meaning the demand for the dollar in the country has been very high. And as a result, the Kenya shilling has been going down. And so it's making things more expensive. So if there's stability within that market, we are going to start seeing maybe the cost of products going down.
Yeah, it's a big thing when you look at where you are starting from.
Yes.
For example, when this became an issue first quarter last year, our current account deficit was actually about 279 billion.
Yes.
That we are negative.
Yeah.
That is the cost of our imports were more than our exports.
Yes.
Or let's say our receivables were less than what we were supposed to pay.
Yes.
Now, with these new strategies, with the G2G oil programs and all that, now it has shifted. Now we are positive over 259 billion.
We have an excess of 259 billion.
As of September. So that means there is a change. Now that is what now people look at. If you are positive, you have some savings, then you can be able to meet the maturing liabilities.
Yes.
And that is where the worry was. Not that the $2 billion was too big.
Yes.
But the issue is, plus what else do you have?
Yes.
That was
plus now the savings that you're talking about, 250 something billion.
Yeah, when you are negative, it was a problem.
Yes.
Yeah, because already you are negative.
Yes.
But now we are positive, so we are okay now. We are able to meet the obligation if they come. Yeah. So, and all this, there's an aspect we call financial intermediation. The ability to receive daily to meet your maturing liabilities is an important aspect. But now when you stop receiving, yet there are demands against you, then it becomes a problem. Because if you look at just what has happened, the bond which you have gotten is going to mature now 6 years after.
So that problem has...
it has been sorted out temporarily.
It has been sorted out temporarily.
Yeah, now.
So when it matures, we'll have to pay the 1-point-something billion.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the effective rate is around 10.37.
That's a humongous rate.
Exactly. Actually, they are saying it's the highest ever offered by an African country. But
so you're saying the highest ever offered by an African country?
Yeah.
Meaning we are the ones who set the rate at which we are going to take it?
Yes, you offer to the market.
Yes.
And then they subscribe, so it is settled at a certain level. So it is settled at 10.37.
Yes.
Which is very attractive. No wonder.
Attractive to the investor.
Yes.
So it's a cycle coming. It's a boomerang, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it's almost 6 years from now.
Yes.
We might get ourselves in the situation we were before now.
Yeah, it could.
Because the interest is very high.
It could, but the expectation is by then we'll have also sorted out our other issues. Then you're able to redeem it.
Yes.
It's a good thing that the president and the treasury itself has been able to sort of try to put their fiscal policies in order and be able to manage our money well, so that the government does not go broke, neither do we go bankrupt. but it does not necessarily mean that we've totally taken care of the challenges that
we are not completely out of the woods.
Fred, I've told you, it's not just the Eurobond alone was not the magic bullet we needed to offset the financial challenges we have. The president has one easy one that I keep telling you every day, to cut the cost of doing government. That's one.
You and I know that is not going to happen, right?
And I'm saying now that's not going to happen. That needs a political solution, right? But I'm just telling you, the Eurobond was not the only silver bullet that this president needed to both take care of this lump sum debt and also to manage our fiscal policy. The president has had a quick solution that he was supposed to do that is backed by the Constitution of Kenya, because Kenyans understand how they wanted their new government post-2010 to run. You understand? So we have a lot of joyriders in government, some of these big buildings that have people sitting with no jobs doing. All this is money that could actually be saved and go into production, so that we can even cut our import bill, as you explained, which is almost $1 trillion shillings. You know that. Food and oil is almost $1 trillion shillings, the money that we spend to import that. If we can invest in food, particularly in basic food items, you know, maize, millet, wheat, rice, and I think beans, those basic ones, 5 of them, just the 5 of them plus sugar, we would easily cut down the import bill by by almost 500 billion shillings. And that would then ease us the demand, it will ease the demand that the Kenyan government has on getting the dollar, and would naturally then reduce the demand on the dollar, and the rate would then go down. Those are easy solutions that are needed to actually be applied now and in the long term, so that then we have a government that is able to sufficiently take care of its operation cost. As to whether that happens is we are wait to see.
It's a different ballgame. I don't ever see that. I don't ever see that happen, because that's a political time bomb. You have to satisfy so many people politically. Hence the bulging government.
Because Fred, if not this president, if there will be another president, he has to still meet the Eurobond challenge 6 years down the line. So we've not really given a solution. We've deferred, the problem to another date. Just taking one hand and paid to sort the other hand. So we hope the president, in the short term, as he's found these short-term solutions to the lump sum payment that he was going to face, is that then he will work on the other issues that are needed to be adjusted as far as the running of government is concerned, and also in terms of how you stimulate the economy, so that we are able to take care of the basic needs where most of our funding goes to.
Good thought, because when we talk about Eurobond, when we talk about this, we're probably talking up here.
Yes.
Now let's bring it down to where the ordinary Wanjiko is at, because I guess the question is, how in the world is this going to affect me? Maybe Bernard, you can help us break it down to now Wanjiko.
Yes, yeah.
What should Wanjiko expect now that this has been done?
Yes. Okay. The Wanjiko benefits.
Yes.
Because you see, exchange rate.
Yes.
Has an impact to even what you put in the cup in the morning as you take your breakfast. Because if you're importing, and in the cost of production, a local cost of production, there is an input which has connotation of being imported, and if the pricing or the exchange rate then is high, then you have a problem. For example, we know transport is a key factor in production or in our production units. So if cost of fuel is high, because our exchange rate is also, the shilling has depreciated so much, it means the fuel will be very expensive.
Yes.
Because you ultimately you still have to pay Kenya shillings to somebody to get the dollar. So if you are buying the dollar at a very expensive, then it means in the end, then the fuel is going to be, the pump prices are going to be very high.
Yes.
So with the Kenya shilling strengthening, we expect pump prices to come down at a certain level.
Yes.
Then that makes it cheaper for production or transport. So that's how Mwananchi is expected to benefit. There could be also other aspects locally, like if the government is not now so much involved in mitigating these high exchange rate issues, paying debts. You see, like now with the appreciation of the Kenya shillings, our debt has changed. In our books it has gone down by over 40 billion or something like that because of the change. So it means we don't have to overtax people now to meet that.
Because initially our debt had gone up by a very high, because of a high percentage because of the depreciating Kenya shilling.
Exactly.
Now with the strengthening of the Kenya shilling,
yes,
the debt becomes less.
It becomes less. The interest cost becomes less for us. You know, like whatever is dominated in Kenya shilling. See, also you have the local debt.
Yes.
Yeah. So that becomes easier for us.
So are we likely to see because the banks have every now and then been sending us messages for those people who have facilities with the bank. They tell you, and I think it started last year, they told us something was going to happen. Then again, I think I've received the 3 messages in a very short time. The bank's telling us that the base rate is going to change, the interest. So are we likely to see this now starting to reverse?
Okay, it will take some time, because what has happened, central bank has increased rates that you are able to take in money. You know, investors who are coming to invest in infrastructure bond, treasury bills, and all that. The CBR has gone up. Central bank rate has gone up. So that means banks also have to increase the rate. It means now it is attractive to invest in Kenya. So foreign companies or foreign individuals can bring in money, bring in foreign currency. Now, that is supposed to take only some time. Then after that is when now we can also start seeing our rates coming down.
Meaning the measures were only, the measures were meant, the making of access to credit locally expensive to us, the locals, was meant to entice the foreign investors so that they can bring the US dollars here.
It's a double-edged sword, because you need to attract the foreign currency to come in, investors to bring in money. But by doing so, the rates go up, so they make it very difficult for
the locals to access
borrow.
credit.
Okay, it has one impact for the locals. When you curtail that, then it means you are curtailing credit locally. Now, what it means is you are able to reduce the impact of inflation. Because when there's also too much money in the economy, inflation tends to go up. So it is also another strategy to cure the inflation.
George.
Additionally, when you reduce the strain of debt in terms of government commitment to date, is that you unlock then the liquidity of government, is that then there's enough money to go into the development budget. You realize we have a lot of infrastructure projects that are sold across the country. And so, and largely has been because government hasn't been liquid enough to be able to spend in those particular projects, and you know those have an impact locally.
Yes, they do.
You know, if we go back to your village, Fred, and you're trying to work on a 10-kilometer road, that is almost an average of 80 million, is almost $1 billion shilling being spent. So the local people there that supply gravel and cement and soil and all these people, it means there's some almost 60% of that money circulates locally. The mamambogas that are feeding the workers, is that then there's that the liquidity within the area is slightly much higher because government is spending, and then it means then the locals have a purchasing power. They're able to promote the small businesses. So the impact then goes directly to the local person, because then with the higher purchasing power, then we can talk of all these other things. They're able to buy more food, more items. You know, maybe those who have extra money to spare can entertain themselves, and then it means it's good for the economy. So the president has a humongous task to work on, because this financial year is almost over. We're almost into the last quarter. So he can only plan for the next 2024-2025 financial year, and we already are going through the budget making process, you know, the way public participation and proposals from the state departments. That's why you saw the president bragging. He was on top of a vehicle somewhere bragging and say, we now want to implement our development budget because we are now offset the Eurobond money. But you see, like I always say in one of the headlines that we had here, that it's all talk, there's no bite. We hope the president now, he has talked and is able to do something for the Kenyans, because things are very tough.
Politically, what do you think this is going to do for him?
For those that believe in him, believe he's working. But you see, for an average Kenyan who's on the street, it has to translate in the pocket. If it doesn't translate in the pocket, Fred, it doesn't matter how many times you say. Remember, we have 3 types of voters, Fred. We have voters that are voting for you because they like you. We have other voters that are voting for you because of what you've said you will do. And then we have other voters that are going to vote for you based on how you perform. So the only ones whom you're sure of are those who like you. because they will vote for you anyway.
Yes.
You know, the next governor of Murang'a, of Machakos,
Yes.
if his friend, his our personal friend,
Yes.
we turn up,
Yes.
regardless of whether he actually means what he's saying or not. But then there's the other person who wants to hear what is Fred putting on the table. That person, he does not buy the side shows that come
Yes.
with talking. You understand? The country has almost 7 regions. You know, the coastal region, the northeastern, eastern, we have central, and then we have Rift Valley, western, Nyanza. We are not all living in one village. You understand? We have different interests in how the government runs its effect. So for those who believe in this president, they will be very glad that
They'll
the president,
vote for him no
absolutely,
matter what.
they will be very glad that at least there's a promise that he gave that he's going to offset the Eurobond and be able to increase the government liquidity in terms of expenditure, so that then they can be able to invest in the plan that the president said he had, which is yet to take off as of today. And so for them, they're very good. But for those whose only strict relationship with this president is that he's sitting on our taxes and he needs to serve us, they are waiting to see how that translates.
If he's able to turn around, because now with the Kenya shilling gaining against the dollar, we are definitely, I believe we are going to start seeing some things changes. The cost of products, the cost of living is going to go down. It's not going to be it's not going to pinch like it is right now.
Exactly, and that would only happen. That's why I'm saying the president has a new financial year to work on now that is coming.
That can only happen in the next financial year.
Yeah, because we're almost in the last quarter. Most of the government departments are actually behind in terms of schedule, in terms of their expenditure, because they had plans which are usually planned a year before. That's why we have a budget making process. But the funding that goes into those projects hasn't quite happened. So they're struggling with that. So it won't mean much even if the money comes in the next 3 months or so. But he has a chance in the next financial year, now that he's be able to sort the issue of the Eurobond and other liquidity matters, is then hopefully then, and he's done so many trips. You know, a lot of the commitments, the president has done 50 trips. It has costed Kenyans 5 billion shillings to fund all these trips. So that translation, because what you get initially is the commitment. For example, the government of Japan, they're going to extend $1 billion for this, maybe for food production and all this stuff. But you see, the money doesn't travel back with the money. It's committed to the next financial year. So most of this money
will start coming in the next financial year. So we are likely to see a major impact with all these commitments that are being made. We are likely to see a major impact on the Kenyan economy.
50 countries is quite a huge.
My take is for the country, yes, we are proud that and thankful that we are turned the tide, you know, because when you have negative vibes against the economy, then you are likely to spiral to recession and all that. But now we have been able to overcome that. With the confidence coming back to the economy, it's still too early to say whether the economy will recover to what we want, but at least the positive vibes, then we expect now the economy will start recovering. And, you know, one positive vibe feeds to another, and then things will happen. We have been saved haircut. You know, like Ghana went through what you call haircut. If you are deposit of 1 million, you find it is 800.
That's what was happening in Ghana.
In Ghana,
You from whatever you have, the haircut, you're saying whatever you have in the bank.
It's reduced, and you see what has happened to Ethiopia and some other economies.
Even Ethiopia has gone through the same thing.
Okay, they didn't have a haircut, but at least they were able to default. So
Ethiopia defaulted.
Yeah, quite a number of African economies defaulted. Their commitment, but we have been saved that. So that gives us positive vibes, and we are able to move forward.
So we with the gaining of the Kenya shilling, I know this will sound funny. Tanzania was bragging against Kenya. Now I bet the Kenya shilling is going to gain against. What about investor confidence, in the sense that we have seen quite a number of investors moving from Kenya going to TZ? Are we likely to start seeing a reversal of the same if this trend continues?
As my colleague has put it, we in the next budget now, those are the things we need to look at. Why are investors leaving Kenya? Because first of all, you are not able to plan because of taxation. We had a lot of taxation being introduced which investors are not planned for. Now, if you can give signals to the market that there's going to be stability, and remove some of the taxes which are not necessary, which was forced to address this issue, then you can expect investors to start coming back. Again, because you have mentioned Tanzania versus Kenya, Uganda, but you see, a weaker Kenya currency
is beneficial to us.
Was beneficial to some extent because they were buying more of Kenyan goods.
Yes.
If it strengthens, maybe our goods may not be as competitive because also these other countries are building their manufacturing sectors, which is replacing what they could be able to import from Kenya. But what we need to look at is the stability. If you can get stability, then everybody can be able to know if I'm doing business in Kenya, this is what I expect.
Yes.
And then you can make long-term plans. That is what has been lacking. If it is not there, then you find people will not invest in the country. Yeah.
And additionally, Fred, part of the reason why most of the companies were exiting the Kenyan market, particularly those who are in manufacturing.
Yes.
You know, we've mentioned before the likes of Cadbury, the likes of Nestle. And these are companies that have been here for very many years.
Yes.
Some of them even way before independence, companies like Unilever. But they had to push their manufacturing to much more friendly economies because of the cost of production, specifically the cost of power. Fred, there is no manufacturing without power.
Yes.
Power is what drives manufacturing. And when you go into a country where the cost of power is almost 10 times what you're paying, it ceases to be feasible for you to produce a product for 32 shillings a unit, when there are countries where you can be able to produce a product with less than 7 shillings per kilowatt. You understand? So there are other economic policies and the issues that the president has to handle that are completely far away from the Eurobond and the issue of money liquidity, which are critical to how the next budget statement is prepared and how the financial bill of 2024-2025 would look like. And as Bernard has clearly mentioned, is then the president has to be aware of that, because then not only are you going to be attractive, or not only are you trying to focus on attracting international investors, but how about those who already are here and have been here for decades doing business? Because you know they say a bird in hand is twice better than what you're anticipating there. So we might want to make sure that some of the companies
we take care of
those who are around, because for you to have a strong economy, you must have a strong manufacturing sector. Countries that are considered industrialized is because they are big on manufacturing. Their contribution of manufacturing is that those of us who live next to factories understand that. If you have a factory, for example, for us in Kakamega, and have West Kenya Sugar Factory, which literally is on our ancestral farm, we have about 1,000 employees that are permanently employed there. There's 1,000 employees, those who are permanently employed in the company. Then we have other, maybe 1,000 or two that work around the company, the transporters, the cane cutters, you know, they all operate around there. So we have 3,000 people in our village, in our location, who, or our ward, if I may put it,
benefit
who literally, so at the end of the month, assuming even if they get a minimum of 10,000 shillings, there's some 30 million, 40 million that circulates around the area. That's why our urban center, particularly my local one, is very busy in weekends, because there's some money. Factories are able to generate massive jobs. That's why in economies that are industrialized, that's why you go to Germany, a very small country that almost half the population of Kenya. For example, they produce BMW or Volkswagen. So if they do 1 million units of BMW, and one BMW is going at a minimum of $10,000. One company alone is bringing in $10 billion, which is almost what KRA collects just from one company. It's because they are big on manufacturing. A small state, but they've invested big in manufacturing. They're able to create more jobs, attract a lot of international funds, and have strong currencies. So we must then have this president must focus on how he can be big on manufacturing. And that would mean that the president has to come up with proper, friendly, attractive tax policies, and also some economic, and also work on the economic drivers, like what I'm saying, cost of production and transport and all these things, so that then it can become attractive and create jobs. That's the only way we're able to build the economy, and everybody will be happy. Fred, I always say this, that we might not all of us have voted for this president, but once he became president, the president of the Republic of Kenya, and all Kenyans, the 50 million of us, must support this president so that the economy does well.
Because if it succeeds, we all succeed.
Because, Fred, I am a businessman. I sell items. I need Bernard to have some money in his pocket so that then he can buy my furniture or my lights. So even if I dislike this president, I should not pray that he doesn't do well, so that at least Bernard is able to earn something, so that even me, I'm able to generate something. So it entirely depends on how the president is going to work, especially in the next financial year, because this one is done. There's a lot of outstanding debt and money that is supposed to be taken. It is not possible to immediately see results in the next 3 months, and by then it would be in June, where he also has to pay the massive Eurobond date. So hopefully the next financial year is when that can be visible.
Interesting stuff, and probably what you've said towards the end, it should ring out, because when you listen to what people are talking, you know, when you go to a group where you have people from one side and the other politically, you get a feel like there is one group that is fasting and praying that he fails.
That's what happens in the politics of hate.
I mean, people just, it's like they're wishing he fails so that he does not make it in the next election, not knowing that if he fails, we fail. Right, Bernard?
Yeah, that's true. I think political mobilization has been such that if it is the other side, we feel like they are not Kenyans. But the truth is, we are one family, and we need to support one another.
True.
Because success of Kenya government, we succeed as a people.
Yes.
And even Africa, we succeed as a people. And we should have pray only for good to happen to the country.
True.
Yeah, not praying for failure of some leaders, so that you can take advantage now to come to power. That's why, like you hinted about. You know, when you talk about politics, the politics, the kind of politics that is exercised actually determines how stable, how well a country is governed. Take, for instance, right now, and I know this could be one of your pet subjects.
Yes.
The former Prime Minister Raila Odinga is actually going for the African Union, top African Union position.
Yes.
Which simply means that he'll be out of
the local scene.
Out of the local scene for almost 6 years. 4 years. Oh yes, 4 years. That goes to 2028.
Yes.
There seems to be some happiness within some quarters that he's out of. But this could boomerang, couldn't it? Is it a good move for Raila himself?
For somebody who's had a career for over 60 years, Raila Odinga will be 70 if he succeeds to be elected as the chairman of African Union.
Yes.
He then formally takes office in January 2025, which actually coincidentally it coincides with his birthday, because his birthday is in January.
Yes.
He would have turned 80. This is somebody that has been in politics for almost 60 years.
Yes.
So for almost 60 years. So for him, it's a climax of a career that has come a long way and has had a lot of victories and tough tribulations along the way.
Yes.
And so at 80 years and sitting at the continental panel, I think at a personal level in terms of achievements, he would have done very well. You know, the African Union has an...
How old, sorry, take you back. How old is he now?
He's 79.
79.
So in January 2025, which
He'll
is when
be next year.
And coincidentally is when if he wins the chairmanship, he assumes office in January 2020.
So he'll be 80
years.
And then he's got 4 years there.
4 years. So he'll be
so
84. He's come a long way. So that's what I'm telling you, for somebody who's had a very long career like that. And remember, at 1963, he was already a voter. He's the longest serving political.
In 1963.
He was already a voter.
Yes.
He voted for his father as a member of parliament for... They used to call it Kavirondo, Kavirondo on the other side before it became Nyanza and now the counties. So for somebody who's had such a long career and that has come, he's had victories in terms of public issues, but also many tribulations in terms of personal goals, is that then this climaxes his career at a continental level. The African Union has an annual budget of about $600 billion. So as chairman, he becomes chief executive officer of the African Union. So he manages a budget of $600 billion. He has a salary of about 2.4 million annually, and monthly, which is almost what the president's is almost a presidential salary. With a lot of other emoluments that come with that particular role, because it's an executive role that involves continental duties, intercontinental duties. That means you're going to see him at the World Economic Program, the World Economic, at the United Nations, at the G7 Summit, the G20 Summit. Those are global platforms that he has to be there as the chairman of the African Union, which technically puts him at an incredibly huge global space, and also very attractive in terms of people that believe in
and the network.
It's huge, and when you mentioned very quickly about those who are happy, maybe Bernard and some of his people will be very happy, because then some of their homeboys will have a clean play to play. But you must understand that he has a very wide political structure. ODM is the only party in the country that truly has 290 political structures that have been there for the last 16 years. It is the only party that has been to almost every constituency. So when you have an institution like that, and then the leader of the party is at a very vantage point in terms of mobilization of resources, that party can be very busy and probably untouchable. So it is a sword, it cuts both ways. For those who are competing against him or have interest that goes parallel with the interest that he has, they'll be happy to see him go away. But those who are able to look at it in 3D and the implication of that, particularly the president I mentioned earlier on off camera, and I was telling you that there are 3 major voting blocks. We have the ECOWAS in West Africa, whom I believe have technically sent General Olusegun Obasanjo, who endorsed him yesterday. So pretty much he has that vote.
He has the ECOWAS. That
ECOWAS is a done deal. Then there's SADC on the lower end, which is being led by Cyril Ramaphosa, a personal friend for a very long time. And as well as the president of Zambia, President Hakainde Hichilema, not to forget the president of Malawi, who used to live here in Buruburu. You know, Lazarus Chikwera used to live here in Buruburu. He knows Swahili, and he's a long-time ODM supporter. So those ones would gladly vote for him. So he only has a challenge with the East African vote because of the competing local interest. Because if this president realizes that this guy is going to be in charge of $600 billion, chances are that he knows that ODM would probably be well funded for the next election. So
but that, just because you're in charge of that amount, in the Kenyan setup, that would translate, you know, monies coming down to the party.
Fred,
but on the international platform, I believe
Fred,
it may not be that.
Stature can give you resources just by who you are. You don't have to, I don't have to pick it from the financial budget. If I'm talking to 50 presidents and half of them are with me, how hard would it be for me to mobilize $1 million from each? It's very quick and fast. You understand? It doesn't mean he's going to chipping off the budget of the African Union. I'm just talking about the stature. So those who are competing against him would love to see him out of this political space. And I'm sure they are, and they're very happy. I saw them endorsing him yesterday. But you have to look at it deeper. Because when you look at it deeper from the context that I've explained, it would bring some challenges here. He has very good support in, you know, Felix Tshisekedi is an old, his father, the late Tshisekedi, the old man, was an old friend of Jaramogi Odinga. Those are family friends, and that's why Iraoe is always with Tshisekedi all the time. So in the East African region, he has about 4 or 5 presidents that are with him, but he might struggle with President Ruto and President Museveni.
Yeah, my take is, of course, as an African and a Kenyan, we support Honorable Raila Odinga. And what I look at is what he can do for the continent. I know politics is local, but I think these Kenyan local things we need to forget about that and the focus on
what he can do for the continent.
What he can do. If you look at his the first time working for the AU, where he was in charge of infrastructure. Okay, maybe we can say we didn't see the real things happening, but a lot of policy shift happened during that time. And we expect if he becomes the chairman, now he can be able to build on that. And because now he understands how AU works, he has made contacts the way my colleagues here is saying, and with our partners, China, US, and all that, who have interest in investing in Africa, then is able now to make the continent move faster. And we see better development in the continent than there before. Because infrastructure projects is what we require for these countries to be interlinked. Things like trade agreements. You know, we have the African continent. We are supposed to have a free trade area.
Where we no boundaries.
No boundaries. If you can also be able to push that, then we start exporting to each other. Then it will improve our economies better. And no one in the continent has better relations and a better capability than Honorable Raila Odinga
to get this going.
To get this going, because of, if we build on what my colleague has said, all these kind of relations, then it can be very good thing.
I doubt he would have a very serious competitor, unless if just this local sabotage.
Yes.
He could very easily win that slot.
Yes.
Because most of these, if you have Nigeria and South Africa and Kenya on your side, you pretty much take up the African
Exactly.
Union.
True.
Yeah.
And our government does not have any reason to not support
to fight.
him.
Yes.
I don't see any reason not support him, because he's one of our own.
And very quickly, just to add on what Mulu has said,
Yes.
but during his 10 years, the envoy for infrastructure, he had 3 key things that he was pushing in terms of policy level. First of all, he wanted the independence of the African Union to be able to sustain itself and not really depend on other global institutions.
Yes.
And then he was looking at infrastructure, where he was talking about railway transport, how we're able to interlink the port of Mombasa to the Lagos port on the other side of Cameroon. So in terms of rail, road and air transport, big proposals that he had also, as well as the project in Congo about the production of power. It was at the heart of it, only that you see it's a policy level kind of position, so he wouldn't have been able to mobilize their funds. But when now you get the executive role, it becomes slightly much more easier then, because then you have ideas like what Governor Natembea was saying. He was a regional head of about 14 counties. But he was saying the challenge was that I would go around the whole province, the whole region, be able to see the problems, but I didn't have an executive role that gives me funds to actually solve them. That's why I had to do away with 14 counties and come to my small county, where at least I can see a problem and there's some funding, so I'm able to sort it. So it gives him a very good strategic position in terms of looking at those continental projects that he had. And he pretty much sits on a very vantage position because of his networks with most of his presidents. He might not struggle to get that position.
If you were to advise him, would you advise him to use this as his retirement package? I mean, he'll be 84 years. That's not young. Would you advise Bernard? Tell him, you're 84 years now. Can you now retire as a statesman?
Fred,
let me hear first from Bernard.
What I would say is, politics or policies of limiting people, they are not good.
Of politics of limiting people.
Let every Kenyan who can contribute to Kenya, well-being of Kenya, Africa or the world, be given a chance. So long as you are the energy, you are breathing and you are able to do it, you are not senile, then let everyone have that chance. Because then when we start coming up with the age limits and all that to keep some people aside, then that becomes a discrimination. So for me, I would say, even if at whatever age, so long as he has energy and is able to do anything, let him have that chance. It is Kenyans who decide if you go to 40. So give them the free choice, because you never know at that age what he can do. You know, in the US you have got the two gentlemen, Biden and Trump. You know, when you look at them, they are at very advanced age. And you wonder, why are they fascinated with these two gentlemen? Maybe there's a reason why they're able to hold the country together. And that's what we need. Because without Biden, maybe Democratic Party will not be held together. Without Trump, Republicans will not be as
Trump is a nutcase. He's a nutcase, but anyway, he's very. I believe Trump was good for America. We needed to have America great again. But then he's one person who I fear a leader who has no control over his tongue. Anytime a leader cannot control what he says with his mouth, he becomes a very dangerous person. And mostly so when you're having the president of the greatest nation, what they call themselves the greatest nation on the earth. He was good for moral, restoring moral authority in the states,
shaking up the system.
He was good for that. Maybe we will not be shocked if we see another Trump presidency.
The presidency of Donald Trump has a very serious impact on the Kenyan election politics of 2027. Fred, if President Trump gets re-elected for example, if he gets re-elected on the November of this year,
yes,
Megan Whitman will be back home in January. The current ambassador of America, the Kenyan American ambassador in the US, because he's a big pro-system guy. And he's a Democrat. She's a Democrat. So President Trump, probably this will be the first ambassador that she'll be recalling back. Because Megan Whitman, she's a billionaire. Trump knows her. No, unlike many other ambassadors who are career ambassadors that have been in the foreign service for a long time.
This is a business person.
He's a business person. They just gave him, it's called public service. She's not doing it because she needs a salary, but because that's the duty that you have to a nation. But there's something else very quickly you mentioned about Honorable Odinga and age. You see, public service is, you don't need an invitation to public service. Those who get into public service, they do so because their hearts, they want to do something for the community. That's why it has no time limit. Even if you're 80 years, Fred will say they
but we saw Mugabe.
It is God who took Mugabe out.
No, I mean, Mugabe had gotten to a place whereby you now start feeling sorry for him. You know, you would easily ask him, if he was your grandpa, you'd easily ask him, Grandpa, let's do this. Come home, you have everything, you have achieved everything. Rest, let's take care of you here.
But Fred, that's what democracy is all about. Kenyans or Zimbabweans then get a chance on the ballot to make a choice on whether or not this is the best leader. And if their choice, they have an issue with health. You see, like Biden, one of his challenges with his health, and it's actually a subject of debate in this particular election cycle. They're saying, will he really make it? You understand? And Trump is at an overdrive, sometimes even mimics him. You know, he purports to be forgetting what he's saying just to mock him, because health is a particular issue. But it's for the voters in the US to decide whether this one works for us or not. Fred, I've always said this, that no Kenyan makes a mistake by choosing a leader of his own choice. Even if he's an 80-year-old man that they think is good for the country, that's what democracy is all about. So Raila Odinga and any other person, remember President Uhuru Kenyatta, people forget, he's a citizen of the Republic of Kenya. He's actually free to go and vie for MCA in Kiambu.
God forbid. As in you come from that,
it's
let him retain.
Fred, it's your personal opinion that you want to load on Kenyan voters.
No, I'm saying, I mean, how do you move from the presidency to the MCA?
To you,
it is his right, for sure.
President Julius Nyerere, when he realized that he's been unable to achieve the social democracy that he was trying to sell in Tanzania, and he walked off the presidency, you know, he went back to his village to be a teacher. He went back to be a teacher. Now somebody would say, why would the whole president come back to a local primary school with the dirty iron sheets and to be a local? But that was his passion. That's why he was called Mwalimu. So it's public service. President Uhuru Kenyatta, because the only seat that is limited from running is the presidency. He can go back and become anything, even your local councillor in the area. So let's not stop any Kenyan from running for any political seat. Let's allow even 80-year-olds and 90-year-olds to run for as long as Kenyans choose and say this is our best option, so be it.
Yeah, in national politics there is an issue of unity and perception of just upon being there. You know, it's not that you have to do everything. Being there, then
you become a symbol of unity.
Exactly. If you look at the first president, he was ailing, but because he was there, the country moved on. Look at also Nelson Mandela. When he left the prison, it's not that he was very energetic, but still he held South Africans together. So anybody who can bring that symbol of unity is welcome. And that is what people will be looking at, who can push our country ahead. Of course, the young hands are also good. So, but it's the people now to decide. Thank you.
Okay, let me read some classic, some responses here. We got something classic creative. You say you're tuned in from Kahawa Sukari. You're enjoying the show. Then there is a love tank. You say you're enjoying the conversation. Tuned in from Mathare. Muongeleshe hawa waheshimiwa hawajiheshimu hata kidogo. Si vijana tunaumia huku ghetto, hatuna job na tulichapiwa tukiwachagua job itakuwa. Then we have Bahadi, our leader, wametuangusha. Then Lennox, you say show imeweza mbaya. Watching from Kakamega. Then we have Kate Irene. You say, I really love the show. Tuned in from Milimani. Talian Production. You say, nice conversation. But you're not in support of the government taking the Eurobond. Then we have Alan and Mika also following. Very interesting conversations. Your last word as we go.
As always, I say that Kenyans, this is our country. The country belongs to us. All of us as Kenyans, we have a duty to support this government to be able to achieve its goals, because if it works for government, then it naturally works for all of us. And my prayer is that even then, those who have been given the opportunity to serve Kenyans, to be mindful of the expectations of the voters, so that then we can meet at a crossroads between those who are supporting government, all of us as Kenyans, and taxpayers, all of us who pay taxes must support this government because they have our money. And the government also must respect our taxes because it's our money.
Yes.
So that then we're able to have a working nation. Yes. And I hope that is what this president and all of us will do in the next days to come.
Okay. But
thank you. Yeah. As a nation, we had the patience, taxes went up, and a lot of challenges. But now we are happy that things are turning positive, and we wish our government well and the success. For Honorable Raila Odinga, we wish him well and success in the job he's expecting to get, that is AU chairmanship.
Right.
Yeah, we fought for him.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, we vote for Raila Odinga.
Yes.
And vote for him. He's been a major positive influence in this country. In this sense, majority of the changes that have taken place in the political scene in this country, both electoral-wise and many other, have had their fatherhood from Raila Odinga. He has started something that led to changes in the law. Would like to see this happening within the African level, because Africa is a humongous giant, endowed with amazing resources, but still considered the poorest continent in the world. So if we can be able to get to a place whereby we work, he can spearhead something that will change policy, change the way people see us and the way we operate and deal with one another, so that we can use our resources for the benefit of the continent. Great. And I think he can really do that. So we vouch for him. And as Bernard and George has said, we are happy that the economy has started looking up. You've been praying, we've been praying so that this happens, and something has started happening. And so we thank God for this, and we pray that this is going to continue. It's going to become a wheel going downhill, so that the economy of Kenya will go back to what it's supposed to be, and families can start having at least 3 meals a day. Do have yourself a lovely morning. Don't forget, like always, Daughters of the Kingdom are coming in later on this morning as they talk about some of the good things happening to the girl child within the kingdom. Do have yourself a lovely morning. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.